Hi guys! So today in class we started talking about cells, and tonight we're going to look at some specific kinds of cells and the parts that make them up. So we have up here a bacteria cell, an animal cell, and a plant cell. Bacteria cells, if you remember from today, are prokaryotic cells, and animal cells and plant cells are eukaryotic cells. So first of all, we have the plasma membrane as a cell part. So now there's a chart, it's up on Moodle, and it has the parts and their functions listed. And in the middle, there's check boxes where you can check off if that part is present in an animal cell, a plant cell, a bacterial cell. Some of them are in all three, some of them are in just one, some of them are in two. So first of all, the plasma membrane or the cell membrane is in all three. It's the inner membrane, if there are two membranes, or the only membrane in animal cells. And it's a semi-permeable membrane, meaning it lets some things in and some things out, but other things it doesn't. So that's just what surrounds the cell. And it's made up of lipids. So we talked about lipids in biochemistry, so they're coming back to us here in cells. The cell wall you'll find just in plant cells and in bacteria cells, and that's the outer membrane that you see. And the cell wall provides a little bit more structure to those cells. So plants and bacteria have a cell wall. Animal cells don't. They just have the plasma membrane. The nucleus we find, as if you remember from today, only in eukaryotic cells, so only in the animal and plant cells. And it's this circle thing here. Bacteria cells don't have a nucleus. Their DNA is just one piece of DNA that kind of floats around in the middle. But in eukaryotic cells, the DNA is inside that nucleus. So sometimes the nucleus is called the control center of the cell because that DNA has the genetic information in it. Next up are the ribosomes. All three types of cells have ribosomes. They're the little dots. They're little cell parts. And what happens there is protein synthesis. So all types of cells, all living things need proteins, and so proteins are made in all three types of cells. Next up are vacuoles. Animal cells and plant cells have vacuoles. In animal cells, they're going to look just kind of like little bubbles, and they can hold, sometimes they'll hold water, sometimes they'll hold waste products. In a plant cell, plants will have a really big vacuole. Sometimes it's called a central vacuole, and that fills with water to give the plant structure. So like plants that aren't woody, so non-tree kind of plants, they stand up because of that water pressure that's inside the cells. It's sometimes called turgor pressure. Mitochondria. Again, only in plant and animal cells do we find mitochondria. They're these oval things with like a squiggly inside line. That's because they have two membranes. So a mitochondria has two membranes, an inner membrane and an outer membrane. And what happens there is cellular respiration. That's when the cell takes food energy and makes it into cell energy for the cell to do the work that it needs to do. Next are chloroplasts. These are found only in plant cells. And they're these here. They're ovals with like little stacks of smaller little ovals inside, like discs. And they actually are green. Chloroplasts are green because they have the chlorophyll that's needed to carry out photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is when the plant takes the energy from the sun and makes it into food. It makes it into sugars. And finally, cilia and flagella. You can find these on bacteria cells and some animal cells. So some cells have them, some don't, but never in plant cells do we have cilia and flagella, just in animal and bacteria cells. And they help the cell move. So cilia are the tiny little hairs that'll all beat together to kind of propel a cell forward. And flagella, those are longer, like whip-like structures, and they serve kind of like it can be like a rudder on a boat, or just like a long whip-like thing that it can move in a circle or beat to move the cell forward and to kind of steer it around. So those are the main cell parts that we want to be familiar with. We'll talk more about them tomorrow in class. Have a great night. Thanks.